Alright, welcome. If you're new to the channel, my name's Elliott and you're watching Rickety Ski Reviews. Today, we're going back in, we're gonna watch more ski essentials. We're gonna be reacting to the Atomic Maverick 88 Ti. That's the ski that I own, that's the ski that I bought. It was my ski of the year for last year. It's my favorite. I don't like the one ski quiver term, so I'm gonna coin a new phrase. It's my favorite daily driver. For the conditions that I ski on, I feel like it's the perfect daily driver. And I like that analogy because there's skis that are the best for carving. There are skis that are best for powder. And then there's a ski that you can take out and you're gonna enjoy the ride. It's got utility in the fact that it skis well in the powder and carves well, but it also does a good job of what I'm primarily doing. So for instance, with cars, there's like, oh, there's track performance and there's off-road performance, but then there's your daily commute and how that car feels on your daily commute. I think it's the same thing with skiing. There's a ski that feels good for what I'm daily skiing on, so that's why this is my favorite daily driver ski. For the conditions that I'm primarily on, which is carving, and then I might see a little bit of untouched powder, and I want to be able to hop off the trail, go enjoy that, and then go back on the groomers. The Atomic Maverick 88 Ti for Idaho, I think, is the perfect ski for me because it's responsive enough, it can carve really well, but it can also give me the flexibility to go off trail and still enjoy it. Now, is it as good off trail as the Salomon QST 98 or 106? No, I don't think so. I think those do a little bit better. But this ski, in my opinion, carves better and is just capable enough to go into the trees without getting stuck and really bogged down. That's my new phrase I'm gonna call, this is my favorite daily driver ski. Now, let me give you a little background. Typically, I really like Ski Essentials. I think they do the most thorough job. Their primary business is to sell skis online, to move inventory. So sometimes my critique of them is that they can be a little bit overly positive. They don't really like to talk about the negatives of a ski. That being said, I've never found them to really tell something dishonestly. I feel like they will tell you the truth about skis, but they'll kind of skirt around the negatives and just focus more on the positives. I think that's a choice. I think that's fine. I really appreciate how honest they are, and I know that they even review skis that they don't sell, so kudos for that. But that, you know, just like I want to give you the good and bad about skis, I'm going to be honest about Ski Essentials. I think 99% of what they do is really awesome. I just wish they were a little more forthright about what the negatives are of the ski. But that's why I'm here. So let's talk about the good and the bad of the Atomic Maverick 88 Ti. Now, this is a ski I really like, obviously. This is my ski of the year. This ski just feels awesome on trail, off trail. It doesn't specialize in off trail, but it is capable enough. That Horizon Tech kind of makes it feel wider than it is. It also carves super well. I think I can also speak for Zach, who demoed the 95 and the 100 with me at Mount Hood. He ended up buying a pair of 95 Ti's. The price he got was amazing. I think it was a Black Friday deal at like a Play It Again Sports. He got them for like $250 with bindings, which is just crazy. They definitely have some cosmetic wear. But anyway, Zach really liked these skis as well. I think the reason that we like them is because we have a race background and we like kind of the fine-tuned carving. But then we both live in an area that has really good powder, kind of in surprise ways. You may have stuff that's skied off, but then it'll get wind blown into a different area that no one's been to. So you get a lot of kind of surprise powder. And what's nice about these skis is it'll allow you to carve and then go into that kind of surprise powder and enjoy both in the same run. And I think that's really amazing. Now, is it the perfect carving ski for like the East Coast? No, there's definitely skis that carve better. Not a lot, but like a Stokely Laser probably is like, you know, a better carving ski. Stuff that's closer to like a race ski is obviously going to perform better. Is it the best powder ski? No way. Like the Salomon QST 98 feels a lot better. There's a lot of like wider powder skis that feel better. But does it feel really good when carving out west specifically? Yes, I think that's the best because we kind of have soft snow and you can finesse your turns. Does it feel good off the trail? Yeah, it does. You can still enjoy it. I like found myself going off trail and still floating in a lot of the powder. Now, if you get more than like a foot or two of powder, yeah, get a designated powder ski. But if you're on the trail and you have these skis, you're not gonna miss out by any means. That's my opinion on the Atomic Maverick 88 Ti. I gave it a 9.5 out of 10. I went out and spent my own money on the skis. I mean, and I can't give a ski a bigger recommendation than that. But now that I've told you all the good about the Atomic Maverick, and there's a lot of good, let me tell you about the bad. And this is very small, obviously. I gave it a 9.5 out of 10. There's not a lot of things that I would change about the ski, but no ski is perfect. One of the things I've noticed about the ski is because it's so light, because it still has that Titanal, still has great support, nothing to complain about with carving, but because it's so light, when the snow gets really heavy and really sticky in the late season, the ski can actually get grabbed, I noticed, a little bit more. I was demoing the Vocal Mantras and the Salomon QSTs, and I noticed that that Horizon Tech can kind of work against the Atomic when the snow is really sticky. So it can kind of get grabbed and pulled behind you. Now that is like a very specific circumstance, and I think that if you're really good with waxing your skis, you can get around that. But just so you know, when the snow is really, really bad, this ski can get hung up on the sticky snow more than other skis. Is that a problem? No, I mean, when the snow's sticky, nothing ski is that great. But I want to be honest with you, the ski has some drawbacks by its design, and if you're going to own them, you're going to find that out yourself. So I'm going to tell you the truth. But with no further ado, let's see what Ski Essentials thinks.
Conversation's interesting. Accomplishing a lot of similar things with kind of a different way about it. So Maverick has been about kind of starting thin and working your way up, you know, starting with that lighter, thinner wood core.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah, and then putting 2 sheets of metal. So from a metal perspective, it's thin metal. We're looking at under 1,700 grams.
It's either the second or third lightest ski that we've looked at so far.
Yeah. So like the core, we're mixing lightweight and stiff flex. Like this thing is a pretty stiff ski.
Totally.
And like it's especially stiff in the tail. So that's where we're seeing most of the energy and power come is really this very end, which is very stiff and responsive. But Maverick 88 does blend that lighter, more floaty tip with the Horizon Tech in here. And then that sidewall does taper to full cap, you know, at the ends, kind of where the rocker starts. So
Okay, this is where I think Bob is letting the design get ahead of how the ski actually feels, at least for how I ski it. Maybe how he skis is different. I think that the stability in the tail, he is right, like it gives you a good platform to kind of step off and go into your next turn, and it really holds you well in the turn. But where I would say I feel a lot more of the energy is towards the tips. If you kind of have a good flex on the ski, it really, really will like to build energy in the tip of the ski and initiate turns really smoothly. It definitely gives you all of your energy back in the turn, so that's not wrong, but I would say more like a head-eye rally. I feel my energy out of the tips more than I do in Atomic. Atomic seems like it's more tip-based skiing rather than tail. It could be that the horse got ahead of the cart, or it could just be he's talking about construction and he's talking about it. Or it could just be a ski style thing. Like people ski very differently. But for me, the way that I ski, I really like to savor the turn, load up the pressure. Kind of, the Atomic Maverick has really precise turns, which feels really good. And you're gonna feel it a lot more in the tips than you do anywhere else. I've also been happy, I've seen some comments from you guys saying that you got Atomic Mavericks, that you skied them, you know, maybe in Europe or places that are open early, and you really enjoyed them. So glad to hear that. I always recommend, you know, test skis out if you can. Don't just take my word for it. But like I said, I love these skis, and I've heard good things from the comments that people really like them as well.
You get a difference in terms of initiation in the forebody, you know, increase in grip as you get to the underfoot zone, and then it does keep it pretty stiff to the end.
Look at the difference in tip construction.
Right. I mean, this is just like so much thick
Vertical
metal and sidewall
thick.
all throughout.
Yeah.
Even with that hollow-tack, you know, they've taken material out.
Yeah.
Like picture that ski without the hollow-tack, and it's just crazy.
You could kind of do the same thing with Brahma. It's just not quite as severe.
Right.
That MX just stays so thick and vertical sidewall.
And those all have that continuous edge throughout. This does not. Edge stops here.
Yeah, and what's nice about the Horizon Tech is you're getting some good powder flotation. I've skied the Blizzard Brahma years ago, and I really liked it, so it's funny that they're mentioning that these are similar. The Atomic Maverick definitely has a little bit more pop in and out of its turns, whereas the Brahma will just kind of hold you in the turn. But I think the Brahma does a good job. Again, it's very old information, like I skied on those 5 years ago, so take that with a grain of salt. The interesting thing too is they're very thin, and they kind of use that camber to make the same outline as the Vantage. This ski skis almost identical to the Vantage. The only real difference I've noticed is it gives a little bit more pop in and out of the turns, about 10 to 15% I'd say, where it kind of pops you in, at kind of with a flick of the pressure of your boot, and it kind of pops you out. which feels really nice. Like, it just feels nice to get a little extra energy coming out of your turns and getting into them. So it's a nice construction. The tips are a little different, but having that horizon tech is what makes this a ski that you can go explore, like I talked about before, that surprise powder. So it's a different construction, but I really enjoy the horizon tech on this. I think it does a great job of giving the ski more width than you would kind of expect to get out of it.
So they are putting emphasis in that front part, very much like, you know, the Bent 90 in terms of harnessing that flotation without adding too much weight or anything like that. But yeah, I mean, really stiff and precise, like very knife-like ski. This thing just absolutely responds to your each and every input directly and, you know, with consequence.
Do you feel like it's like blending these two skis?
Yes.
I've thought that for a while now.
Yeah.
Because it's precise like this, but it's a little bit more playful like this. Kind of right in between.
You do have to like...
Maybe more like this.
Like this ski, you have to answer for your mistakes.
What's funny is the head, looks like he's holding the Core 90 or 89, and then the Elan Ripstick, it looks like. Those are both skis that people are constantly asking me to review. So that is funny that people are asking about it because I like the Maverick so much. So those are on the top of my priority for this winter, by the way. I would say too, like they talk about the consequences of the ski. I've found that it's fairly forgiving. I guess like I'm coming at it from someone who raced and loves carving, but if you're intimidated by that, I wouldn't be. I feel like the only time it's really going to punish you is if you're not keeping pressure on the ski, if you're not actually building pressure with the front of your boot. If you're expecting the ski to kind of do it for you, like a Volcal M6 Mantra or something like that, you might be a little bit disappointed by that, but overall, I mean, it's still a fantastic ski.
Talked about that ripstick in terms of like that's gonna help you on your way. If you get a little bit back on this one, or if you're not as balanced as you need to be, like it definitely keeps your momentum going back.
Yeah.
So I think that there's more kind of skill required to fully wrangle this because it does have that lightweight, stiff, precise feel to it. So there's, you know, a lot of reactivity to the tail, which, you know, a lot of skiers really like. And if you're on it and you're pushing through it, you're going to get a very, very rewarding energy out of the turn.
Yeah,
I think it's really, really interesting in that regard.
I also think...
Oh my gosh, Bob is like totally come around on the ski. I always hear how it's like punishing and it's not, you know, not doing enough. Man, they've like totally changed their tune, and that was like a very, very eloquent way of talking about the ski. I think Bob was right on the money there. It is very rewarding. I've never felt like it was really pushing me back. The head-eye rally does that a lot more, where you're kind of just hanging on and it's constantly kind of giving you energy out of the tail, and that can be concerning. I've never felt like the Maverick was really doing that too much, but if you're not, you know, I'm someone who really stays on the front of my boots, so if you have that kind of bad habit, and I have plenty of other bad habits, you know, I get very hunched, but if you have that bad habit, I guess that's good to know. But for the average skier who's like really keeping pressure on their ski and carving, I wouldn't say you're gonna feel that too much. At least in my experience, I didn't feel it too much.
I think it's something that's approachable and reasonable for somebody who is still like kind of developing their technique. Because you can ski it at a flatter edge angle with like a decent amount of forgiveness. Like the rocker is fairly significant.
It's helpful.
So,
you know, yeah.
Like there's less wrangling it when you're not bending it.
Yeah.
Because you can kind of just like wiggle it around and get it to make like really easy skidded turns.
It's not like curved. We kind of talked about this with like QST, like it's more of a kink, you know, like it ends and then it bends. So once you get past that certain spot, sure, you can get it to wiggle around at that low.
Oh, I see what he's talking about. Yeah, with that ski style, that may be doing that. I feel that it feels good on washed out turns when I take in the trees. When you don't have room to complete your turn, yeah, it's like pretty forgiving in washing out the turns. I think that it would be a really good ski. You know, it's very similar to the Vantage. I would say almost if you're intermediate, I would try out the Vantage and then go from there. Because then, you know, that'll kind of indicate how well you like these. And then you're not as committed financially. And then if you really like the Vantages, you know, then upgrade to the Maverick. But overall, I mean, I think they're right on the money. They definitely have changed a little bit in what they're talking about with the ski. But Bob's skiing looks really good. I mean, he has really good fundamentals. I can see a couple of things where his ski style might feel uncomfortable with the ski, because if you're not hanging out on the front of the ski, or if you get the ski in a length that's a little too long, you're not going to be able to feel the whole part of the turn. But I mean, he's shredding in this. His skis are parallel. You could put a little more pressure on the downhill ski, but you know, couldn't we all? Bob has very, very good fundamentals in his skiing. Not that that matters to the ski, but you know, I always like seeing stuff like this.
Lower edge angle.
Yeah.
But like if you're engaged, like it's like I've found that this thing takes you right around to the end.
Yeah, it's like one of those skis that you get.
Yeah. Okay, I see exactly what he's talking about. If you're pressuring your boot and staying on front of the ski, this ski feels so good. It's going to bring you all the way, and it's going to give you your energy back out of the turn. But when he like got done at the end there, kind of just like being done skiing and he relaxed, if you're staying on the back of those boots, this ski won't feel good. I mean, not that it won't feel good, but it won't give you that same rewarding feeling. You really need to be pressuring and initiating and feeling the edges to get that full rewarding turn out of the Maverick.
What you put into it,
Yeah.
as for skier input, equates to what you get out of it.
Yeah. And that's mainly a function of having those thin sheets of metal in there. Is that
Yeah.
it's very precise in its feedback.
Yeah.
Yeah, really interesting. But you know, I liked it in the moguls. Not my favorite, just because it's hard to get it to bend in the troughs.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of stiffness underfoot, and it's just a little bit more difficult.
Yeah.
But if
I could see that. This ski wants to wait to be bent for the right timing on a carve rather than like the right turning on a bump. I'm sure you can get away with that, but yeah, I don't think they're primarily mogul skis. They do ski well in the trees though. I found that like that flotation coupled with a nice shape actually goes together really well, more than you'd expect. In the trees, you know, you're not going to get the ski to bend completely. I could see that you're not getting the ski to bend completely at the apex of the mogul, but that's a very specific style of skiing. And I think if you're not doing that, if you're going in the trees and you have some bumps, you can still kind of finesse those turns out well. Because that's what I did all year.
if you're doing more windshield wiper technique,
That's what I was going
it
to
can
say.
do
Like,
just fine.
yeah, I think a lot of skiers wouldn't find that.
Yeah.
They would find more of that flatter edge angle, ease of use, and forgiveness.
Right. And like for us here in Vermont, our moguls tend to have ice in between, and that's where something like this really comes in handy.
Yeah, grippy,
Yeah.
reliable.
Yeah. Like no one likes being in between moguls and then having the ski just wash out.
Yeah, that's the same for racing. If you've ever raced slalom, it gets like that. Yeah, this is something where it's more specialized in what Bob's talking about. But I think for general public, when you're carving and loading the ski, you want to not only like grab and make a stable platform, but you also want to be able to feel that energy in and out of the turn. But that's very, very like keen. That's a very, very keen observation.
Is that the worst feeling on skis? When you're in between moguls and it's just pure ice and you're trying to slow down but you're accelerating?
Yeah. I mean, it's a helpless feeling.
That might be one of my least favorite feelings on skis.
What about when you go off a jump and then you see the landing go that way?
That's so much different.
Yeah. I don't know. That terrifies me. I'm fine with the icy in-betweens. I don't like it when the landing goes away.
Yeah, very.
Yeah, this is a good example too. Jeff is skiing really well here, but also like see how when he's going off trail into just a little bit of extra powder, but the ski isn't just sinking down into it. It's kind of like staying on edge and then floating. That's what I'm talking about, where the ski really thrives, where it's able to go on the groomers, but also play a little bit off trail. You know, you could be kind of further off into the woods and you still wouldn't be punished that much. This ski is really, really amazing. It's not like the QST where it's like the most leading edge design that just like sets you in the turn and does it differently than everyone else. But I would say it's equally impressive with just how fine-tuned this ski is to carving and just how well it blends those powder and carving scenarios together.
Very different. I suppose I know what to do in that situation more than you know what to do in that situation.
Well, I know what's going to happen in that situation, and that's why I don't.
You can fall.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can take deep landings though and like ski away from it. Not in one motion.
Right.
I mean, completely skid out, wash out, and then get up and be okay. I just find like that feeling of when you're accelerating, like you just feel helpless.
Yeah.
Oh God, the worst feeling. Your ski catches and just kind of like falling over the hump, you know, down like a steep glade trail, and you just know like there's nothing I can do. I just have to kind of like crash and minimize damage at that point. Just that feeling of like having your feet behind you uphill and going downhill. Like, okay, I'm gonna get a face full of snow, and we just gotta minimize damage at this point. More to the point, this was a really good review. It seems like they put a lot more care into reviewing the ski, like they really felt it out. Usually people kind of like suggest the bent, and the Atomic Maverick just kind of has to sit in the corner quietly. I really like that the ski is getting full credit because it does carve really well. It takes some timing and it takes some finesse, but if you're a skilled skier and you enjoy that, you're gonna enjoy the ski because it's gonna give you all that energy that you load up. It's gonna give it back to you and really allow you to like perfect your carve, savor your turn, and enjoy it. I think this is a phenomenal ski. Like I said, I bought it. This is what I'm gonna be daily driving, but it's nice to see it get a little bit more recognition. Ski Essentials, per usual, 2 big thumbs up. This was a great review. And I like that they gave the Atomic Maverick a little bit more showcase than it typically gets, because it typically doesn't get attention, it gets written off. It's been suggested in a million different weird ways because the bent's kind of eaten its lunch. So nice to see this ski in the spotlight. Yeah, if you're interested, I think this is a really great ski. Also, I wanted to add that I did add subscriptions to YouTube. So if you want specific recommendations for you personally, I have the most basic one, which I think is like snow bunnies or something. And that one is for your sizing. So if you have like specific sizing questions, I'll help you out with that. Just send me an email and show your subscription. And then the next one is if you want like a specific ski recommendation for you based on everything you tell me. Those are a little more involved, so that's the next tier. And then if you want me to like sit down and watch video of you skiing, that's my top tier. And all of those tiers get to see my videos early. So the video that was out on Monday, I actually published on Saturday, and then, you know, kind of scheduled it out. So all of the members got to actually watch that 2 days early? Yeah, 2 days early. Which is weird because you see a video sitting there that has 8 views, but it's also private, kind of. It's odd, but I wanted to give you guys that benefit. It helps out the channel directly, and it allows me to kind of prioritize things, because if I just spend all my time going through the comments, I'll never make new videos. So it allows our members to kind of rise to the top so I can prioritize those questions. I'll get questions every now and then. I still try to help people out for free, but it's hard. Sometimes comments just go missing, or I just get caught up in the next video. So if you're interested in that, if you want me to make recommendations specific to you, that's the best way to do it. But as I said, more than anything, just thank you for watching. And as always, I'll see you in the next one. See ya. So anyway, that's the end of the video. If you like this kind of content, please consider liking and subscribing. It helps my channel out a lot. But more than anything, just thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. Yeah, and as always, I'll see you in the next one. See ya.